We all learned PEMDAS in elementary school, the order of operations for math equations. Recently, I've noticed that nobody really taught us the order of operations for our money and personal finance. Today, I wanted to dive into the PEMDAS of personal finance. I kind of made my own jerry-rigged analogy. FDM Rita. And we'll go into what each of those letters stand for in a second. Before we get into FDM Rita and the PEMDAS of personal finance, I wanted to say thank you for the support on my last video, which was also my first video. I got like 12 subscribers and 100 views in less than 24 hours. So that was pretty shocking for me, very motivating, and I plan on staying really consistent with this type of content. If you have any questions or any types of videos that you guys want to see from me, throw it down in the comments. I'll be watching, right? Someone reached out to me. I'll throw the conversation up on the screen. He was talking about NQ Futures automation. He said he just started last week with 25K live account, and he's up to close to 40K, up close to 40K. So it's like $15,000 in a week. Good money. Good for you. He said the strategy works best on NQ and ES, but I have strategies for crypto props or perps I'm about to deploy as well. Nice. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not a user of automated trading, but good for you. Keep it up. Hope it works out for you. Nice scarcity mindset, bro. That's when I got to thinking, is this guy trying to sell me his trading bot, or was he congratulating himself in my DMs? And so it got me thinking. I was like, no, I'm not thinking about scarcity. I don't believe in robots. I don't believe that robots can handle black swan events, market conditions. I think they're basically a bunch of junk, if you ask me. Based on experience that I've had and some of the testimonies that I've heard from some of my other friends, trading bots can't be very profitable. And he took it to the next level. You can all see it there. Anyways, I'm not so much concerned of the negativity. I'm more so concerned that I had no idea what he was talking about. I don't know what NQ futures are. I don't know what automated trading looks like. So I did a little research and I wanted to fill you guys in as well. ES and NQ. They're basically mini S&P 500 futures and mini NASDAQ 100 futures. When you're buying futures, you're not buying the underlying asset. You're not buying these things. You're speculating on the price movement. And so in order to get into these trades, you need to have a lot of capital. So you need to front a lot of money for this one trade that you're trying to get in really quickly and get out really quickly. It's often very high leverage, tight spreads. One move in the wrong direction can almost wipe out your account. I'm sure there are some people that are pretty successful at it. That's not my cup of tea. I don't think anyone trying to build long-term wealth sustainably is going to entertain futures contracts until they have a way larger portfolio, right? That would be something I'm willing to entertain if I had 10 million bucks, right? I'm not there yet. I'm just 3 years into this journey. A lot of these traders are funded traders. They're not trading with their own capital. And what that means is you can basically audition for a prop firm, which is basically a trading firm that has a lot of liquidity. They have a lot of money. And so you can audition for them, pass an exam. You pay some money to pass the exam, I'm sure. And you can go to places like Top Step, Apex, Lilu. Those are just some of the ones that I found when I was doing my own research. And you get access to capital if you pass and then trade on their behalf and make commissions off your profits. Really easy to get disqualified. It doesn't seem like something that you can do on top of everyday life, right? If you want to make that your full-time thing, go for it. But for me, it's not in my wheelhouse. Cool. FDM Rita. Before we even get into PEMDAS, there's a step 0 to this, and that's getting a grip on your money. If you don't track your expenses, if you don't track your income, and you don't know what's coming in and going out, you can't really build anything if you don't know what you have. Remember, budgeting isn't meant to be restrictive. It's meant to be awareness. In math, parentheses comes first. In personal finance, I believe it's the emergency fund. I think it should be a priority to build 3 to 6 months of expenses in an emergency fund. I personally like to have a larger buffer of cash in my bank account. Emergency funds are meant to protect you from life's randomness. Job loss, car expense, medical emergency, all those things should be covered technically under your emergency fund. Without an emergency fund, every financial plan is doomed to collapse, right? D stands for debt. Debt grows exponentially just like your investments do, and so you really want to mitigate the consequences of debt on your portfolios, right? Anything higher than 7% is going to be holding you back from making returns on your investments. And the reason people say this is because if you look at the S&P 500, it averages 7 to 10% per year. Some years it's higher, some years it's lower, some years it's negative, some years it's positive. But at the end of the day, those are the returns that you can expect. If you have credit card debt lingering, which is often higher than 7%, that's going to eat away at your returns of your investments faster than you're able to capitalize on the gains of your investments. The debt avalanche is intended to target the highest interest debt that you owe. You're making the highest return on paying off your debt with the debt avalanche method because you're paying off the highest debt first and knocking that out. So by the time you knock out the highest debt, your next interest rate should be lower. I wanted to give an example so you can really understand what the debt avalanche method is for paying off your debts. So Imagine you have 3 debts. One is a car loan of $15,000 at 8% interest. One is a credit card balance of $2,000 at 19% interest, and then you have a personal loan of $5,000 at 12%. The debt avalanche method would recommend that you pay off the credit card balance first, even though it's the smallest debt because it's the highest interest rate. After paying off your credit card debt, you then move to your personal loan because it has the next highest interest rate. Then after that, your car loan. The debt snowball is basically paying off your smallest balance debt first and then working your way up to the biggest debt, targeting your lowest debt with all of your expendable income, and then working on getting all of that expendable income to go into the debts that you owe, getting rid of the smallest one, and then all that money that you would typically be paying for the smallest one goes into the next biggest debt, and then the next biggest debt. Here's an example of the debt snowball method. If you have a car loan of $10,000 at 8% interest, and then a credit card loan of $6,000 at 19% interest, and then a personal loan of $22,000 at 10% interest, using the debt snowball, you would pay the credit card balance of $6,000 first to give you the motivation to pay off the $10,000 of your car, and then into your personal loan of $22,000. Before you know it, you'll be paying off the majority of your debts, and you'll be making a lot of leeway for yourself to invest in the future. Everyone's situation is different. Obviously, tackle what you want to tackle with utmost priority. Once you have your emergency fund, and once the majority of your debt's paid off, now you can start investing, but only really where there's free money, and that lies in your employer match. If your job offers a 401k, you're basically leaving money on the table by not contributing to get the full match. If you put in 5% and your employer also matches 5%, so it's free money that you're making on the table that gives you way better tax consequences down the road than your individual taxable brokerage account, right? Once you're maxing out your 401k and have little to no debt, at this point, you're able to unlock some of the most powerful accounts available to regular people. The Roth IRA is an account that you can invest after-tax dollars in, and by the time it all appreciates and when it's all said and done in your retirement age and ready to go, it's all tax-free. They give it to you. If you have $5 million in your Roth IRA by the time you retire, guess what? You want to cash it out and you want $5 million bucks? They give you $5 million bucks. The HSA, that's another really good one. If you have a pretty high deductible health plan, this account can be triple tax advantaged and can be really worth looking into. And both of these are really low fee, flexible, and really just good for growing long-term wealth. It is a new day. Quite literally. I forgot to record this part yesterday, and here I am this morning recording this part now. But if you followed all the previous steps in the video, you should feel like it's a new day for you and your finances. Now that you've handled your priorities, your emergency fund is solid, you've paid off your high interest debt, and now you're taking full advantage of the tax advantage accounts that we talked about earlier. This is where you're able to get to what I would say is the final step, which is investing in your own taxable brokerage account. A taxable brokerage account is just a regular investing account. There's no fancy rules, there's no protection from taxes. It's just you in the market and your full flexibility to buy and sell. Here's the catch. It's taxable though. Any money you make inside this account can be taxed in a few ways. If you earn dividends or interest, it's going to be taxed as ordinary income, which is basically taxed the same way your 9-to-5 paycheck is taxed. So if you buy something and hold it for less than a year and then sell it, that's a short-term capital gains that you're going to face. Versus if you hold it for over a year, it's just going to be long-term, which can be beneficial because you'll be taxed at typically a lower rate depending on your income. Let's say your tax bracket is 22% and you make $1,000 from a short-term stock trade. That $1,000 gets taxed just like your salary does, 22%. So $220 is going right to the IRS. But if you held longer than a year, that same $1,000 might only get taxed at 15%. So essentially saving you $70. It's basically just a fancy way of saying if you hold for a longer period of time, you'll get taxed less overall. Versus any short-term gains you make in the market, you're going to be taxed at a higher rate for that. Some of the pros to an individual brokerage account are that there are no contribution limits, so you can put as much money as you want in there and you can kind of access it anytime. There's no restrictions to accessing your money in those accounts. You face no age restrictions or penalties for withdrawing your money. If you want to access it right here, right now, you can absolutely do that. These can be great for building long-term wealth outside of your retirement accounts once you've already maxed those out. The cons to these accounts are that they're taxable every single year, even if you don't sell anything, thanks to dividends. If you make dividend income, you're going to be taxed on that income regardless. You don't get any upfront tax breaks like your 401k or your Roth IRA or your HSA. These accounts are also slightly more complex during tax time, but most brokerage apps will handle a lot of that for you. If you just take a look around, you'll probably find a tax section and you can just dive in from there. This account is really where you can start building your wealth and freedom. Having access to them before retirement age is also a plus if you need them. Efficiency matters. The less you sell, the less you pay in taxes in these accounts. So just buy and hold. If you follow these order of operations, you can go from confused and overwhelmed to completely in control of your personal finances You just need a strategy. Everyone's situation is different, but if you can follow these steps to the best of your ability, you'll go from surviving and just getting by to thriving with a plan. You'll be financially protected, debt-free, and investing with intention, knowing that all your ducks in a row and that if anything were to go wrong, you're taken care of. If everything's going right, you're growing wealth for the future. It's not about getting rich overnight. It's about the small, consistent habits that make you wealthy over time. Let me know in the comments below where you're at in your FDEM Rita journey, and subscribe if you want more videos like this in the future. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys.